Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. Today we are continuing on with Quote Love Unquote by New Amsterdam, and we are up to chapter 24. Just before Kirishima reaches the door, Kaminari grabs the back of his shirt and tugs him back, two hands grabbing at the fabric, both heels dragging against the floor. Hey, stop! He grits his teeth as Kirishima tries to fight him off. Where do you think you're going? Just get off, Kaminari, Kirishima grinds out. He grabs the door frame, trying to tug himself forward. He's got a considerable amount of bulk on Kaminari, but Kaminari is determined to not let him get beyond the threshold. A little help over here, he calls out. Eijiro rushes in from the living room, takes one look at the scene before she presses her palm against her forehead. What the hell are you two idiots doing? I'm not the idiot, Kaminari says indignantly. He's the one who thinks he's going to a movie premiere in the PJs he's been wearing for 2 weeks. Truth be told, Kirishima hasn't given much thought to his appearance. He'd just noticed the date as Kaminari had tried coaxing him out of his room to eat dinner and made a wild run for it. His mind is still hazy, sadness hanging over him like a fog. His only clear thought is that the premiere is today and he should be there. Kirishima, Eijiro says in her quiet, calm voice, you haven't left the apartment in 2 weeks. I'm better now, Kirishima insists. You didn't leave your room for days, Eijiro continues. And the three of them had taken turns bringing him meals, sitting with him, getting the story from him in bits and pieces. They hadn't said anything judgmental, not against him or Bakugou, but Kirishima heard them out in the hall, talking in hushed voices. But he needs me! Wasn't this what the entire damn charade had been for? To smooth Bakugou's coming out with the press, so that he could be himself in the public eye. And why shouldn't Kirishima get to see the triumphant moment, the premiere of one of the most anticipated gay romance films ever? Doesn't he deserve that much, when he carved out his own heart for this? What about what you need? Ashido comes down the hallway, ducks under Kirishima's extended arm, and plants herself in the doorway in front of him. Are you just going to ignore what's been happening to you? How much this is hurting you? Kirishima flinches as though she slapped him across the face. He takes a step back and Kaminari renews his efforts to pull Kirishima away from the door at the exact moment. The force between them has nowhere to go and they both slam into the ground against each other. Ow! Kaminari hisses, rubbing the back of his head. Kirishima just lays there on the ground, limbs askew, as he stares up at the ceiling. This is what he wanted, he mutters. And I just thought it'd make him happy. And if he was happy... The thought trails off, unfinished. Kaminari lets out an impatient noise from between his teeth. Has he ever been happy? Yes, Kirishima says first, reflexively. Defensively. But then he thinks about it, because what does he actually know about Bakugou? No, I mean, I don't actually know. Shit. His eyes feel hot again. He thought he'd gotten over the crying after the first few days, and then only a hollow emptiness had been left behind. But now he feels like he's going to start sobbing again. He drapes an arm over his eyes, blocking out his friends from view. From behind closed eyes, he sees Bakugou. Bakugou, face scrunched up, trying to hide a smile. Bakugou, looking at him with fondness, reaching out to poke at his cheek. Bakugou, throwing his head back and laughing, looking younger and less serious than usual. Bakugou, beautiful and happy. He had been happy with Kirishima, hadn't he? I wanted to be the one to make him happy, Kirishima says, and fuck, he can't stop the tears now. He hiccups, words interrupted by his ragged breathing. I want to be there when he's happy. I want to see it. I want to share it with him. You sure we can't kill him? Kaminari mutters. We're holding that option in reserve, Jiro says back, like this is a reminder of an earlier conversation. Someone comes to sit beside him, reaches out and pulls Kirishima's arms away from his face. It's Ashido, looking down at him with liquid dark eyes and that strangely thoughtful expression she wears so rarely. Hey, listen to me, okay? Bakugou doesn't get to have his happiness at the cost of yours. That's just, it's not on, okay? And if we have to stop you from doing that to yourself, we will. She looks so fierce, so defiant, so determined to save him from himself. Kaminari is still half underneath him, but he looks just as resolved. And Jiro, standing right there, poised to barricade the door again if need be. They love you, Kirishima thinks, and immediately another part of his brain questions if he's worthy of that love. What is wrong with him? I don't know what to do anymore, he says, and he's crying again, shaking and unable to stop. Ashido strokes a gentle hand through his hair, and Kaminari extricates himself enough to grab both of Kirishima's hands in his own. You don't have to do anything right now, Jiro says. We just want you to take care of yourself. No one's going to make you do anything you don't want to do, and definitely not until you're ready. And dude, Kaminari says, until you're showering and eating on a regular basis, you're definitely not ready. Kirishima curls in on himself, bringing his knees up against his chest and wrapping his arms around himself. I'm sorry, he says in a quiet voice. Don't be, Ashido says immediately. We're always gonna be here for you. You think we don't know that it'd be the same if things were reversed? Jiro asks. You don't have to do anything, Kaminari reiterates. Just give yourself some time, okay? The three of them encircle him, wrap their arms around him, and hold on tight. Time passes. He does his best to take their advice, and when he forgets it, they're there to remind him. It's another few days before he feels up to leaving the apartment, but when he is, Ashido is there to join him. It's snowing, which catches Kirishima off guard. How can it still be winter when he feels like he's been living outside the world for months or years? The powder falls slowly to the earth, gently guided by wind that stings Kirishima's face as he and Ashido walk along. They end up at a park a few blocks away from the apartment. Ashido stops by a coffee cart and grabs them both drinks, returning with her cheeks as pink as her hair. She's got a black knit cap pulled down over her head, hair sticking out like small clouds from underneath it. They dust off a bench by the frozen pond and sit down, gloved hands curled around disposable hot cups. Kirishima shifts his woven red scarf aside so he can breathe in the warmth of his coffee. So, Ashido says after a moment, breaking the silence, we never really talked about it. Kirishima gulps, taking a too early sip of his coffee and hissing as it burns against his tongue and down his throat. He doesn't bother to deny it, however. I felt bad, he says, and at the same moment that Ashido says the exact same thing. I felt bad. They look at each other, both laughing weakly. Ashido takes a deep breath. You first. He told her about his fight with Bakugou, about the CDs, about how Bakugou had been there that day at the television studio. He told her what he remembered of how he'd yelled at her, blamed her for what had happened. Back then, they'd swept it all under the rug when Kirishima declared he wanted to start a new project, when Ashido announced she was ending her solo career, when Sero and Ashido broke up with little fanfare. They'd all decided, without consulting each other, that the past was the past and they were moving forward. I did blame you, Kirishima says now, looking out across the glassy frozen surface of the pond. I shouldn't have, and I know that, but I was jealous of you. Not because you had the spotlight, but because you knew how to get it. Because you could stand up on your own, and I couldn't. It's a horrible way to feel about his best friend, and part of the reason he never wanted to talk about it was because he didn't know that he'd ever stop feeling that way. So, whenever something didn't work out for me, it was easy to say that you were the one who was special and talented, and I was just lucky to be by your side. I could resent you and still be praising you at the same time. Ashido tilts her head back and laughs, loud and startling against the gentle scene of snowfall. What? Kirishima asks, brows knitting together. I was jealous of you, she says, setting her coffee to one side so she can wipe at her eyes. I could barely write my own songs, and I had no idea what kind of music I wanted to make, who I wanted to be as a performer. I let my team push me into something I wasn't, and I looked at you, and you were just biding your time, ready to burst out with talent, and I was jealous. She folds her hands in her lap, presses her lips together. Sero knew it too. He didn't just take your word for it when you told him it was my fault. He's not that unkind. He came to me right after, asked me what had happened, comforted me because I was upset. Her voice goes soft and wistful. Everyone always looked at me like I was a star. But I knew how talented you were. You are. I was insecure, and the only person I could tell was Sero. I thought because he said he loved me, he'd just accept all these little petty things about me, keep all my secrets. She lets out a deep sigh. Kirishima leans in, drapes an arm over her shoulders. But that jerk held it against me, she says tartly. Kirishima remembers going to Yaoyorozu's beach house, to Sero questioning Ashido's Riot tattoo by the fire. He wasn't accusing her. He looked awestruck, like he couldn't believe she was so committed to being part of their group. You ever think he has some hang-ups of his own? Kirishima asks. Ashido lets out a breath. I know he does. He's worse than you know. Always going on about how plain and ordinary he is when he's surrounded by people like us. Kirishima bites down on the inside of his cheek. He's heard Sero talk like that before, but he's never given it much thought. But Sero really does surround himself with the brightest of the bright, doesn't he? First Ashido, then Bakugou. Why do you think he tries so hard to be needed? Ashido says. I think he's always worried we're all going to wake up and realize he's nothing special. Like he isn't our friend. Like we all don't love him. She scowls. I mean, Kirishima cuts in, giving her a crooked smile. You did sort of use him like a gopher when we were teenagers. I thought that was what he wanted. Ashido throws her hands up. He was always like, Ashido, I'll get you a coffee. Or, Ashido, here's the notes from the producer. Or, Ashido, let me schedule that for you. I couldn't figure out whether he was into me or trying to kiss up to his boss. And sure, I was a little full of myself, and I liked the attention. Who wouldn't? She settles down after a moment, grabs Kirishima's hand, and squeezes it tight. I'm still a little full of myself, you know. I like it when people look at me. I like it when they call my name. Kirishima laughs. If we split the difference between you and me, maybe we'd both be fine. Hey! Ashido says sharply, reaching up to poke at Kirishima's cheek. You don't have to smile for me or make jokes about this. If you're not feeling it, you don't have to pretend for me. Immediately, Kirishima's face falls. His lip wobbles, and he swallows down another laugh that might have come out as a sob. Come on, Ashido says. She gets to her feet, dusts off her cheetah print coat, and grabs Kirishima's hand again. They walk around the pond until they come to a grassy hill, now covered in a light dusting of snow. When they've sat down again, Ashido leans her elbows against her knees and said, I'm really, really mad at you, you know? That surprises him. Why? Because every way I've ever tried to help you and build you up over the past 10 years hasn't even begun to work. Kirishima inhales and holds his breath. Even if Ashido admits to being jealous or threatened by him, that doesn't erase the fact that she's always stood by him. She's swallowed down her jealousy and supported him as much as she could in whatever way she could. From being the first to cheer for his middle school music performances to the past few weeks when she'd laid in bed with him and held him while he cried. I really, really like the kid that you were, Ashido says. Huh? He's my best friend, she continues. With his black hair and beat-up sneakers and voice that cracked a bit before he'd get going with a song, I never, ever thought he was lacking something. I never thought he wasn't cool or lovable. Ashido. So stop shitting on him. Stop saying he wasn't good enough. Ashido smacks him in the chest. He was. You are. Hands shaking, Kirishima lifts his coffee to take a sip. He needs that moment because he has no idea what to say. Even the coffee burning down his throat does nothing to settle his thoughts and feelings. It's not like I don't want to believe you, he confesses. I do. I really do. But, he shrugs uselessly. Did you stop loving me? Ashido demands. What? Because I was jealous and I treated Sero badly and I was happy to have you playing backup for me. Did that make you love me less? Kirishima takes a moment to consider that. He doesn't always agree with Ashido, but he's never loved her any less. No, of course not. Ashido smiles at him, kisses his cheek before continuing. Do you stop loving Bakugou when he's being an asshole? His brain short circuits at that question. He's not. He can be, but I never told him. Ashido reaches up, presses a hand to his lips. You love him for who he is, though no one has any clue why. Isn't that right? Eyes burning, Kirishima can only nod. Why can't he be the same then? Why can't he love you for who you are? All of you. His hands clench. He's shaking and he doesn't even fully register why. I've seen him be better for you, Ashido insists. We all have. That boy has a personality like someone rolled it up in cactus needles, but he's soft for you. I don't know if being with him is what's best for you, but I've seen watching from the start, and I think he really means it when he says he loves you. Fuck. He's made a terrible mistake, hasn't he? Ashido pulls him in, rests his head on her shoulders as she gently strokes his hair. I'll never get why someone as awesome as you doesn't see what everyone else sees. But if you ever need the reminder, you've got more than one person willing to beat it into your head. Kirishima laughs at that, and then he chokes down on a sob. Do you think I ruined everything? I don't know. Probably not. She says it lightly, pulls him back down to earth from his panic. What about me? Have I ruined everything? He shakes his head. I don't know what's best for you either. But if there's something you want, you can always work hard for it, can't you? You can be better for Sero if he's who you want. Aishido looks down, eyes wet and sad. He really likes you, you know, Kirishima said, and he's talking to Aishido about Sero, but he always wants to be talking to himself about Bakugou. He wants to be worthy of the love of his favorite person, wants to let it fuel him like the energy of the sun. Aishido says, I'll try, if you will. He wraps both his arms around her waist, buries his face in her shoulder, and holds on for dear life. He can believe what she says to him, because she's never lied. She's never pulled back, never left him. In most of his happiest memories, she's there, sharing his joy. And in a lot of his worst ones, she's there too, ready to pick him back up. He squeezes her as tight as he can. It's a deal. Time passes. He still doesn't know if he's ready, or if he even knows what he needs to do next. When he gets home, he throws open the window of his bedroom, letting clean light and air in for the first time in ages. The billboard for Make My Story still stares at him from across the road. Kirishima squares his shoulders, cups his hands over his mouth, and yells to it, Wait for me, okay? I've got to figure some stuff out. He sets about organizing his room. His acoustic guitar lays on its side in one corner, and he writes it before picking up all the scattered pieces of paper on his floor. For months now, ever since that night at Hagakure Toru's rooftop party, he's been writing music in frantic bursts and starts. There are songs Riot has premiered at concerts, demos they've recorded on tour, pieces of lyrics and melodies that he and Eijiro had scratched out in their spare time. The songs have come to him from across many moments, seeing Bakugou at Hagakure's party, attending a film premiere with him, kissing him for the first time, going to the beach, singing to a packed stadium, and really just for him, spending time away from him, coming back and really having him for the first time. Their story is here, as much as Kirishima has tried to distance himself from it. He'd been all in from the start, and everything he's written since then reflects that. Kirishima sits down on the floor, laying out his music in something of a chronological order and laughing to himself. Was he even trying to write about something other than these feelings? Could he have? The story isn't finished. Like many of the songs, he's still trying to figure out if he has the confidence to keep going, to lay himself bare for others when he doesn't know how he feels about himself. He traces his fingers against his handwritten words, against the sheets of music, and he sighs. He wants to know how the story ends. And even when he doesn't believe in himself, he believes that there's something here that's worth finishing. I don't know if I can do this, he admits, still looking across the street at the movie poster. I don't know if I can try again. What I'll do if we can't make this work. He knows Aishido, Eijiro, and Kaminari will stand by him. He hopes he's built himself up enough that his music will still feel magical and fulfilling, even if he loses someone so vital. But I have to try, don't I? He asks. The picture of Bakugou can't answer him, and Kirishima doesn't know if he's ready to pick up the phone and call the real thing yet. Time passes. It feels good to be back in the studio. It's given him a sense of purpose, something he's been missing. He doesn't think that it's just for his sake that the others throw themselves into the music as hard as he does. They have countless meetings with Kayama-san, rearranging songs and hammering out details. Eijiro pulls out her violin and cello a few days in, says they should try playing with some different arrangements. Her classical training blends with the modern sensibilities, creating something Kirishima would have never imagined himself. It's Kaminari who suggests the piano for another song, and Kirishima who reminds them that Ashido is the most accomplished pianist amongst them. Eijiro loves the idea, but Ashido takes a bit more convincing. "Hey," Kirishima says to her, "if I'm going to be singing, don't you think you should be part of the music too? That way we'll never be able to play a song without either one of us." Kaminari laughs at that. Eijiro murmurs, "Like we'd ever go on without all four of us anyway." But Ashido looks up at Kirishima with true gratitude shining in her eyes. That afternoon, she takes up the piano to lay in the soft, melodic entry into a song. Eijiro falls in with the rich notes of her cello, and finally the drum beat comes in. By the time Kirishima hits his cue, with both guitar and vocals, it's like a whole orchestra is playing out before him, beckoning him to come join in. There's something joyous about being locked in the studio with just the three of them and Kayama-san, turning everything that they've been feeling into songs for the entire world to listen to understand and enjoy. Kayama-san is in and out of the studio, occasionally bringing someone else in with her. Kirishima barely registers the other person's presence. He's so focused on the music he's playing and the words he's singing. When he stops to think about that, he almost laughs. Who would have ever thought there'd be a time when he could sing in front of a total stranger and barely think about them? Kirishima's barely thinking about what's been weighing on him until after lunch, when he's making his way back to the studio. His head is down as he scrolls through his phone and stops short at the title of an entertainment news piece. "Make My Story shaping up to be one of the best reviewed films of the year." He clicks into the story, thumbs past review upon review, praising Aizawa's direction, Fukikado's script, and Shindo's acting. Some of the reviews call the gay romance gimmicky, but those are few and far between. Far more focus on the depth of emotion between the two leads, the love story that transcends any labels put on it. What's most striking is seeing rising star Bakugou Katsuki at his most vulnerable yet, one critic declares. We've always known he's good at turning up the tension in any scene he's in. But until now, that tension has been more boyish anger than barely contained sex appeal. In Make My Story, it's become clear that Bakugou is a true talent. His reluctant attraction to Shindo's character, coupled with his own emotional turmoil, brings out one of the best performances of the year. In the most impacting scene of the film, Bakugou stands alone on screen as the weight of loss hits him and he crumples with grief. It's something I never thought him capable of, and I'm happy to be proven wrong. I can't wait to see where his career takes him next. Kirishima is smiling by the time he reaches the end of the article. He still hasn't seen the movie, but he feels an overwhelming sense of relief. Coming out hasn't ruined Bakugou's career. The shadow that was cast over them both months ago might finally be lifting. And anyway, hasn't Bakugou always been too good to be defeated by that sort of scandal? I knew you could do it, Kirishima says aloud, a split second before he crashes into another person walking down the hallway. I'm so sorry, Kirishima says, looking up as he attempts to keep his balance. He looks at the person he's just bumped into, his mind momentarily going blank with static. Oh, that's all right, Crimson Chevalier says, smiling kindly. I've been looking for you, actually. Time passes. Crimson Chevalier? Kirishima squeaks like a balloon losing air, his voice going higher and higher until it's barely audible. Crimson Chevalier stands in the hallway of Midnight Studios, wearing plain jeans and a black leather jacket, numerous silver rings on his fingers, and a long chain around his neck. He looks at Kirishima with a wry smile.
Kokyo is fine.
He wants Kirishima to call him by his actual surname. Kirishima is suddenly sure that he must be dreaming. Kokyo-san, he says, you were looking for me? Are you sure? Crimson Chevalier, Kokyo, lifts a brow and huffs a laugh.
Pretty sure, yeah, unless there's another Kirishima Eijirou who hangs around here.
Kirishima actually looks from side to side like another person with his name might have materialized. But it's just the two of them in the hallway, Kokyo-san chuckling lightly at his antics. What are you doing here? Kirishima asks. Kokyo-san shrugs.
I make the rounds. When you've been in the game as long as I have, you've got friends just about everywhere. Didn't you notice me watching you record earlier? Nomori-kun invited me.
Kirishima has always thought of Kayama-san as a giant of the industry. She's not old, exactly, but he's always thought of her as definitively adult and almost ageless. But to a titan like Crimson Chevalier, she's just a kid herself. I didn't realize that was you, Kirishima says, rubbing the back of his neck sheepishly.
You were busy with what you were doing,
Kokyo-san says, understanding.
In fact, it made me think I should go check out more of Hisashi-kun's performances if he has bands like you opening for him.
Of course, if Kayama-san is a kid, so is Yamada-san. Kirishima is by no means a small person, but Kyoko-san towers over him. He's got broad shoulders and wrinkled sun-warmed skin. His eyes are dark, shadowed by his trademark pompadour of crimson hair. You were looking for me? Kirishima asks in a small voice. Kokyo-san chuckles again.
Would you believe that I heard you recording and wanted to know more about who could make music like that?
Kirishima's lips pull into a smile, but it's a strained expression. I don't really believe in coincidences like that anymore. Kokyo-san nods sagely and then laughs with the force of thunder.
That's probably smart, really. I've got this old friend, Yagi. He calls me out of the blue a few days ago. Says he hasn't seen much of me around. And I say, so what? I'm old. I've earned my right to enjoy my peace.
Crimson Chevalier's speaking voice is just as impactful, as manly and intimidating as his singing. Kirishima takes an involuntary step back at the force of him.
And he says, you're not so old, Kokyo. And what am I supposed to say to that when Yagi picked himself up after leukemia and worse? He's really out there making the rest of us old folk look bad.
Kirishima is rooted to the spot. Crimson Chevalier is friends with Yagi-san? All Might?
Anyway, the long and short of it is that we had a chat, and Yagi really read me to rights. Told me we're all foolish if we ignore the younger generation and all that you kids are getting into.
Yagi-san said that? Kirishima asks in a hushed voice. Kokyo-san nods.
Yeah, but apparently it was some kid named Bakugou that put him up to it.
He tilts his head, raising a brow. His questioning look demands some explanation. What is Kirishima supposed to tell him? Bakugou was my boyfriend. Kokyo-san runs a hand over his stubble-dotted chin, thoughtful.
That's so. Nice that you can be so open about that. Back in my day, people were always hounding me to get married. Throw people off the scent, as it were.
Kirishima blinks, tries to think. The static is back in his brain, and no matter how many times he tries to flip the channel, he comes up empty. Bakugou told Yagi-san to talk to Crimson about him, and Kirishima's known that Crimson likes men for as long as he's been aware of him. He'd never really thought about the beginning of Crimson's career when he would have had to be closeted. Now it sends a pang through him, the echo of pain he's never had to feel in quite the same way. How is he still this hopeless? Here he is in front of his biggest idol, and he can't even form a proper sentence. How is it that 5 years have gone by and he's just as useless as ever?
Yeah.
Kokyo-san's voice is kind and patient. He has a gruff exterior and imposing presence, but the kindness, the understanding in his dark eyes is the same thing that comes across in his music. "You're my biggest inspiration," Kirishima blurts out all at once. "I have every single one of your CDs, all the greatest hits collections, and the live albums too. I've seen you in concert 6 times. I don't think I would have ever picked up a guitar if it wasn't for you." Kokyo-san's eyes twinkle. He presses his lips into a flat, fond smile.
Nah, you would have. I just heard you playing, kid. There's nothing that would have stopped you from getting there.
Kirishima's heart surges so much, he's sure it's about to burst straight out of his chest. He still can't be sure that this isn't a dream. "Still, thank you. I owe you so much, Kokyo-san." Crimson spreads his hands, shrugs.
"If you want to give me the credit, I'm happy to take it."
He laughs, rough and warm, brings a hand down on Kirishima's shoulder. They start walking down the hall together while Kokyo-san talks through the songs he'd heard Riot play. His opinions are those of a pro. Technical notes, observations about how they each play, mixed with the affection of a fan, talking about how the songs made him feel, what he thinks of the lyrics, how he'd laughed and clapped along. Kirishima can't stop grinning. He's sure his smile is going to be twice as wide, permanently, once this moment is over. As they approach the studio, Kokyo-san cocks his head to one side.
"So why's your boyfriend calling in favors for you then?"
His happiness doesn't completely evaporate, but a cloud moves to cover its brightness. Kirishima looks down at his feet. "We've been fighting." He still doesn't know why, but he's comfortable telling Crimson these things. It's like Crimson is someone he's known for a long time, almost his entire life. Kokyo-san nods, hums from deep in his throat.
"Trouble in paradise, is it?"
Kirishima huffs out a breath, runs a hand through his spiky hair. "It's just complicated, you know? I'm trying, but I don't know if we just don't understand each other at all. It's hard to know what to do. I want to... I don't know." He claps a hand over his mouth, ashamed of his babbling. Kokyo-san looks down at him with a critical eye, arms crossed over his chest. It's like his eyes cut through all of Kirishima's bluster and bullshit right down to the core of who he is. After a moment's silence, Kokyo-san says,
"You know, no one's ever going to hear you if you keep cutting yourself off."
Kirishima stops in the hallway, frozen. Is that what he's been doing to himself? Stopping short before anyone else even has the chance to judge him. He bites down on his tongue before looking up. "I've been wondering what you'd think of me for years," he admits, "but I'm sort of scared about what your answer might be." Kokyo-san clicks his tongue against his teeth.
"Do you need me to tell you you're doing good? More than your record sales or reviews can tell you?"
Kirishima shakes his head. When Crimson puts it like that, it seems like a stupid question. Is he ungrateful to keep asking for affirmations of his success?
"I've been doing what I do longer than most anyone. I've seen my generation come and go, and yours is a few more down from there. Not everyone likes what I do all the time, but I've had a hell of a lot of fun doing it."
Kokyo-san takes a deep breath before he continues.
"Do what you're going to do, kid, for as long as you enjoy it and find meaning in it, with the people who are going to make it meaningful for you."
Now Kirishima isn't just thinking of Bakugou. It's Ashido beside him, and Jiro and Kaminari, Kayama-san and Yamada-san, Amajiki-san and the other members of Sun Eater, Yaoyorozu, Ida, Midoriya, Todoroki, Uraraka, Sero. Everyone he's met who's brought him this far, who's listened to him, who's shared their world with him.
"But,"
Kokyo-san says, hand coming down to pat on Kirishima's head,
"you are doing good, Kirishima-kun."
Kirishima looks up with a smile, and there's no timidity to him when he asks, Do you think you want to help me with something, Kokyo-san? All right, friends, thank you so much for joining me for this chapter. This song's chapter is Secrets by One Republic. I really like this chapter a lot. We get like a little bit of like overlap from the Bakugou chapter previously. Kirishima wanting to go to the premiere. It's not really like a bouncing back and forth, but it kind of feels like a bouncing back and forth. Like we got like before the premiere with Bakugou, we got before the premiere with Kirishima, then we got like at the premiere, potentially what was going on at the premiere at the same time with Kirishima. Then we get like it first started snowing, and then like with the Bakugou, it had already been snowing, and then, you know, him seeing Crimson Chevalier. I love this chapter between the two of them. So much stuff happens, and I don't know, I love, you know, Kirishima starting to build like a little bit of confidence in himself through other people making him feel like he should be more confident. I don't know. Anyway, I hope that you guys enjoyed this chapter. We only have 3 more videos at this point, so I hope you guys will come back and join me for the next video. The next one will be chapter 25. And if you do, I'll see you next time.